Simon, Alan, thank you so much for the invitation to spend the morning with you today. You're absolutely right. As I was preparing the presentation, I kind of thought, actually, we're going back to the birthplace of iCoachKids, really, if you want. It was through the work that we did with you guys in Northern Ireland during the days of me being in at Sports Coach UK, UK coaching now, that really we planted the seed for what iCoachKids has become. I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I will introduce iCoachKids later, but it was quite emotional, really, putting this together, thinking about all the stuff that we did together back in the day. So again, thank you very much. I hope everybody's well. Thanks a million for tuning in today for the webinar. My hope is that we can really have some good conversations around how we create amazing children's sports environments. That as much as I'm going to be sharing stuff with you, there's also a lot coming from you to really make sure that we are sharing and learning from each other. I'm also going to try and, having done quite a few webinars over the last 3 months, either as a presenter or as a host, I'm going to try and every now and again do things that are a bit more participatory, really trying to get you to interact. So please join in as much as you can and give it your best. And in that sense, we're going to start with a question. Okay, let's see if we can move the slides. There we go. So I'm going to ask you that question, and I want you to go on the chat and answer that question. And you can answer that question. It has to be either a yes or no, or a short sentence. Okay, don't write an essay. You've got 30 seconds. Okay, let's see what you put on the chat. Okay, lots of answers coming on. Fantastic. Okay, all right. So great job, everybody. And interestingly, really, we've got loads of yeses. Okay, but then we've got a few sort of yes, but it depends. Okay, and it depends on the kind of environments we create and the kind of experiences those children have. Okay, so yeah, in the main it is, but let's really try and get under the skin of really how good is it, because the let me just get rid of the. There we go. Let me get rid of the chat. Okay, because traditionally, I think that the view of sport that we normally have is that, like, the Aladdin genie, okay, is just magical, okay. And as soon as we give a child a football or a basketball or a hockey stick or whatever it is that we put them in a sport environment, magically they're gonna be better people. They're gonna have a great time. They're gonna love it. And it's not like that, really. We know that. We know that actually, rather than looking like a genie in a lamp, sport for children looks a bit more like this, and hopefully this works. Okay. Some of you might not know what Tetris is. You then are too young, but really, for me, that's what sport looks like for children. Okay, and how good the experience is and what children get from it really depends on how well we put those pieces together. And those pieces might go in different places for different people, and in different sports, in different contexts. Okay, so it's not as simple as this idea of the genie in a lamp that is going to make it happen straight away. It's not magical. There are some pieces that we need to put together in the right places, okay, for it to be a good experience. So, as well, what we know though from a lot of research is that children can develop biologically, psychologically, and socially through sport. There's no question about that. Okay, biological, physical development, in terms of psychology and social. I'm going to show you another slide. This is our own research that we did a couple of years ago. How, what kind of areas can children develop in a psychosocial level, and they develop in terms of their self-esteem, self-identity, self-concept. They develop emotionally. So in terms of self-regulation of emotions, in terms of being able to appreciate someone else's emotions as well. They develop socially, their ability to make friends, their ability to communicate in groups, their ability to work in groups as well. We also know that sport is going to help develop children morally, in terms of making good decisions from a moral standpoint. We know that it can help them develop cognitively, in terms of improving their thinking capability, their decision-making skills, in terms of even improving their outcomes in school, their grades. And we know as well that sport can give us some life and professional skills, like from timekeeping to leadership to anything like that. Okay, so yes, we can say that sport can be good for children rather than sport is good for children. But so are vegetables. Okay, and what I mean by that is, yes, we know that vegetables are good for children, but we really struggle to get them to eat them, right? And the same can happen with sport. Okay, if we don't give sport to children in the right formats, it's like we give them a raw pepper or a raw aubergine or whatever. They're never going to eat it. Okay, so the same with children. So there are ways we can cook sport that really help children eat it or consume it better. And that takes me to the next slide. Okay, so again, back to you. On the chat bar, okay, I need you to give me reasons why children like sport. Okay, again, 30 seconds. Yes. Quick fire. Have a go. Great stuff. Lots of good things coming up there. Lots of fun. Social. Learning. Playing with friends. Be like someone else, you know, have because they want to be like someone else. Could be a role model, could be a parent. Fantastic. All right, brilliant. So let's see what we know from the research, and it's exactly what you said there. Okay, we know that children do sport or enjoy sport for a whole host of reasons, but the top three are because they enjoy it, because it can be fun, okay, because they love doing it with their mates, with their friends, they really love the social side of things, and because they love learning something. Okay, so those are, like I said, there are many others, and you mentioned the other things like being like a role model, but those are the key things. Okay, learning, being with friends, and having fun. So let's turn it over to the other side. Okay, the dark side. Why do children quit sport? Okay, so back to you on the chat. Give me some answers to that. Why do they quit sport? Pressure, adults, competition, too much pressure, too competitive, not feeling good enough, parents can't afford it, they get into something else, poor experiences, injuries, bored with the way we give it to them. Back to the vegetable thing. Okay, not learning. Excellent. All right, so what do we know again from the research? All right, so the first thing, they really don't like it very much when it's all about winning. Okay, when it's about winning at all cost. Particularly, remember we're talking about younger children. Okay, but this carries over into the teenagers as well. Okay, if the whole emphasis is on winning, some kids can handle that. A lot of them can't. Okay, and that leads to drop out. When they don't feel good about the skills they about the skills they show, when they don't feel competent, and that's a really big cause for dropout. When they just don't feel like actually they've got the skills required to meet the challenges that we are giving them. When it becomes too adult driven and too adult like, okay, when we're trying to impose on children elements of sport that are really related to the adult type of games, okay, as opposed to what they like and need. And finally, when parents are really pushy, okay, that also tempts kids off sport really easily. All right, so all of those things you were saying in there are completely true. Again, these four seem to be the key ones. When there's too much emphasis on winning, when they don't feel competent, when it's too adult-like or driven by the adults, when parents are really pushy. Okay, so we're building a picture of the situation in youth sport. So what issues do we have in youth sport at the moment? Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of things that are happening that really condition the way we understand sport today, but also the things that we can do to improve the experience for children. Well, that's the first thing, okay? And I bet we're all really struggling with this at the moment, particularly with the picture on the left. So we always complain that children are not doing enough sport or physical activity because they're on the PlayStation all the time, okay? And that is true, okay? And again, going back to the idea of the vegetables, okay, so the guys on the video games cook the vegetables really well. I mean, if you have children into Fortnite, you will know that today they released the new season. I know that because my 9-year-old is crazy about Fortnite. So the first thing he did this morning as he woke up, Dad, can I just check if the new season is out? Because these guys do a great job of enticing kids. And that's something that we need to try and do ourselves, and it's difficult, okay, because we don't have the resources that these people do and the money they spend in all of this. But it's something that we need to learn from them. Instead of demonizing the video games, it's learning from them how do we create these levels of enjoyment and expectation, really, which is very difficult compared to the arsenal of money and resources they have. We can learn from it. The picture on the right is not so problematic now because of where we are with the pandemic and the lockdown. But again, that's just there to show, even when children want to go and play outside, we tend not to let them and we overprotect them. So that's something that in 21st century society, we have to try and change that culture of children can't play outside because we're actually not doing them any favors. Then we have the reverse of these coins. So this is about the children that don't play, but then we also have the children that play too much. Okay, and we've got lots of young children that from a very early age are doing lots of different sports with a lot of demands on them, or a single sport where they are their families are banking anything on the kid becoming a superstar in that sport. Okay, and that kind of comes from this traditional pyramid view of youth sport that we have in the majority of countries. Really, it's not something that it happens only in Northern Ireland or in the UK. It happens everywhere, where really some children will start playing. A lot of them will start playing. Okay, only a few continue because we put ever higher demands and poor practice on them. So only a handful make it, and for the remainder of the kids, the rest of the kids, they just drop out like little penguins, and we don't seem to care that much. The system is designed for the 1%, not even 1%, that make it to the top, not so much for the other 99% that never make it. Okay, and they tend to drop out or disappear or just be left to their own devices, really, in most cases. So, as Tom Hanks says in Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, but the main problem that we have is to solve this really complex problem, because it is a complex problem. Okay, I've just given you sketched out some basic components of the problem. Okay, but it is a complex problem. It's, some people call these wicked problems because they're impossible to solve in isolation. Okay, but if I ask you a question, and again, it's back to the chat. Where do we start? Okay, again, back on the chat, some ideas as to where would you start? What would you do first if you wanted to solve the problem of youth sport and children dropping out from sport? So back to the chat. Some ideas, again, quick, keywords and short sentences that you've been doing. Where do we start? Talk to them, ask the kids what they want. Who before what? Fantastic. Make it fun again. Change the format of competition. Involvement, make it fun. Multi-activities. Great work. Perfect. Brilliant. Everybody really on the same page. Fantastic. Great. Okay. Brilliant. So again, I don't know when it was the last time that you watched The Wizard of Oz, the movie, but I had the fortune of watching it last weekend. Again, my 9-year-old asked for it, and there was something in that movie that really caught my eye, really, in terms of where we start. Because Glinda, the good witch, okay, says, well, it's always best to start at the beginning, and all you do is follow the yellow brick road. I don't know if you remember that scene. If you haven't watched The Wizard of Oz, please make sure that you watch it, okay? So where is the beginning, really? If we're looking at children's sport, what is the beginning? And you've mentioned it really in the the Ruby Sleepers. Someone messaged me privately about the Ruby Sleepers. But where do we start? What's the beginning? And again, some of you mentioned it in the chat, but the beginning is the realization that children are not mini adults, okay, and that we can't treat them like they are mini adults. And therefore, I think someone mentioned before, we have to make the game or the sport fit the child and not the child fit the sport. But that doesn't happen all the time. We still see some of these things, and this is just an extreme example of a very small girl in a big football net. Okay, but there are other examples of this happening, and in the end, it comes down to how well are the adults able to see the sport through the eyes of the child. Okay, can we take the adult glasses off and the child glasses in, and see the world through their eyes, what it looks like from. And sometimes this is very simple, okay, and I've done this with parents, and I've done this with other coaches, where I just get people to actually kneel down, okay, and go on their knees and look at the world from that position of taking a foot or a foot and a half of your regular height, okay. And that simple exercise, it is quite humbling when you actually look at it like that, okay. But anyway, as I was saying before, the main message there, and we're going to give you a lot of these, what we call coaching hacks, as we go through the presentation today, is that make the sport fit the child, not the child fit the sport. Okay, and to me, I mean, you already know this, okay? But if we go away with one message, really, and we can drive one message forward to all the coaches that we work with, this is it. Okay, we're going to give you a million more messages today, but this is the main one for me. Now, what does that mean? If we're going to make the sport fit the child and not the child fit the sport, it means that as coaches, we have to become environmental architects. Because what that environment looks like and feels like for the child is down mainly to us as the coach. Of course, we'll have to take into account the context we coach in, the resources we have, the traditions at the club, all of that. But in the end, the buck stops with us. Okay, we are in charge. And of course, the main issue there is that to become an architect or to be able to be a successful architect, you're going to need to know some things and you're going to need some tools. Okay, and that's the main issue, that a lot of the coaches that are working with kids, through no fault of their own, okay, because let's remember that most of these people will be volunteers trying to do a good job, but they might not have the right tools for the job. Okay, so can we do this, or is this mission impossible? All right. Well, obviously, if I thought it was mission impossible, I would be in a different profession. So I clearly think that this is mission possible, but it's not mission easy. Okay, but it is possible, and it won't be mission quick either. But I really believe that it's possible. So back to you with a little game. Okay, you've got 30 seconds to see if you can. I'm going to show you an anagram. Okay, and you need to see if you can find out what the anagram is. And this is the anagram. Okay, something we all need to get used to going forward, and it is 2 words. 30 seconds. Okay, don't put the answer on the chat yet. Okay, work it out, and then when I tell you in 30 seconds, if you've got the answer, put it on the chat. Okay, that's the anagram, and you're looking for 2 words. Oh, you worked it out already. Okay, great job. I don't know how you did this so quickly. It took me forever. Okay, so that was social distancing. Okay, great job. Well done, guys. All right, so back to mission possible. Okay, so that's where iCoachKids comes into the equation, really. And this is what I was saying. We go back to the days of me traveling to Northern Ireland to meet Simon, Alan, and David, and trying to develop some resources and training for coaches in Northern Ireland that were working with kids, really. Now, that planted the seed of something that we thought was needed, which was quality resources that are accessible to anyone. And that's why we submitted an application to the Erasmus Plus Fund of the European Union to develop iCoachKids. And as he says, there is a not-for-profit, now it's a global movement. It was a not-for-profit project, but now it's a global movement because we actually have presence in 4 continents to support the development of youth sport coaches across all sports. If you don't know about iCoachKids, by all means, please go on our website and also just follow us on social media. But basically, we're just trying to create high-quality research and high-quality resources for coaches working with children and young people all over the world. And that's the logos you see there are the original partners that started working on iCoachKids. But also over the last couple of years, we've added a lot of supporters, really. And you can see, obviously, Sport Northern Ireland is there, was one of the first on board. But you can see other supporters like UEFA, World Rugby, the Leadership Development Institute in Saudi Arabia, the European Handball Federation, Special Olympics, the International Tennis Federation, and you know, England Sports Scotland and Sport Northern Ireland. So it is growing. It is growing at quite some pace. And what we did really at the time is we conducted a massive literature review to try and understand, you know, what do we know about coaching children? What's out there that can help us create some guidelines for coaches? So that literature review, the full review, which is 120 pages, and the practical summary, which is more like 12 or 13 pages, it's on the website, and please go and have a look at it. But what we did, we actually summarized that into what we called the iCoachKids Pledge. And that's the 10 golden rules for coaching children. So we distilled that massive literature review into 10 actions, if you want, 10 things that we can commit to make sure that a sport is a positive experience for children. Now I'm going to put it over to you. This is the point where I always end up crying because this work took us about 18 months to put together that literature review. And then when I ask you in about a minute, you're going to give me the 10 golden rules because you're working on the ground all the time. Okay, so quiz for you. Write down on the chat as many of the 10 golden rules that you can come up with in your own words. They don't have to be word for word what we have on the pledge, but just in your own words. 10 things that you think are golden rules of coaching children. And then what we'll do, we'll reveal the answers and you can get a point every time you got a right answer. And Simon is going to send you a bottle of wine in the post if you win the quiz. Okay, great stuff. Lots of good things coming up there. Fun, holistic, safe, achievable, opportunity to play, child-centered. Brilliant. I have the impression that any of you could be doing the talk instead of me, which is good. Engage parents, okay, that's an... Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Give you a couple more seconds to put some more stuff in there, and then I'll start revealing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start revealing the 10 golden rules, okay? And then for each of the golden rules, I'll explain a little bit, okay, just to clarify. And I'll also give you 1 or 2 coaching hacks. And again, these coaching hacks, the reason why I'm putting them out there is because one of the hardest things to get coaches to do is to change the way they do things, okay? And what we try to do with both the pledge and the coaching hacks is to come up with short statements that really tell the story, okay? That are easy to sell to people, as opposed to tell, you know, having to give them the research or whatever. Just something to discuss. You know, I love to use the coaching hacks and the pledge as conversation starters, Okay, so that's why I'm going to throw in here. Okay, so rule number one, and I hope, you know, in your house, wherever you are now, if you get the right answer, then I want you to shout really hard, really loud, and pump your fists, and be really happy. Okay. All right. So here we go. First one is being child-centered. Okay. You all mentioned that really, and this is all about trying to make sure that we focus on what the child wants and the child needs. Okay, and that we develop everything from that viewpoint, from that philosophy, back to the idea of, you know, putting the adult glasses away and putting on the child's glasses. So a couple of hacks here. First one, let me see. All right, build relationships before building skills. Okay, that's super important. If we are really going to be child-centered, let's focus on the child first. Forget the sport. Okay, let's focus on the child. Build relationships before building skills. And hack number two, coach the child, not the athlete or the sport. Okay, again, focus on the child. See the child as a child, not as an athlete. And again, don't worry too much about the sport. The sport is important, but the child always comes first. All right, so we're moving on to number two. Be holistic. Okay, so again, let's not focus too much on the sport. Let's make sure that we are conscious that as adults interacting with children, what they can take from that interaction, whether that's in sport or anywhere else, is personal development, not just athletic development or sport development. That we need to consider the child, as it says there in hack 3, it is only a game, okay, but it can teach them so much more. Go beyond sport. Okay, bear in mind that in a position of responsibility as a coach, when you're in front of those kids are looking at you like you are God. Okay, I need to be mindful of that. Whatever you do and say will have a massive impact, so make sure that it is a positive impact. Okay, moving on to number 3, be inclusive. Okay, that's really, really important, particularly, you know, if you're working at the younger end and in a participation environment, you have to make sure that you're inclusive. We can't leave anybody out, and this is not just about disability. This is about everything, about from levels of ability to disability to gender to race to creed. We have to make sure that our clubs and our sessions are as inclusive as possible, and we have to do inclusion audits, okay, that really allow us to see if we are being really inclusive or if there's anything else we could do. Because this is one of those that we all say that we are inclusive, but then when you look deep down, perhaps we are not being as inclusive as we should be. And I'm the first one to admit that sometimes, even inadvertently, we're not being as inclusive as we should be. Okay, and a little coaching hack there that goes a long way to being inclusive is every child is different. Equal does not mean fair. Okay, the fact that we have the same policy or the same approach to everybody doesn't mean that that's fair. Okay, and another one that I really like: give every child a little bit of your time every session. Again, sometimes we neglect to do this because we are too busy trying to make things happen, but we have to slow down and make sure that even if it's just a high five during the whole session, every child should go away feeling like that you've paid attention to them. Okay, number 4, golden rule number 4, make it fun and safe. That was very clear. You all said this on the chat, okay? And why is that so important? Because as it says on the next hack, the top priority is that they come back, okay? And as we saw earlier, one of the main reasons why children like doing sport is because it is fun, okay? And the fun comes before being competent. So they value having fun more than being competent. Okay, that's really important to understand. Even if they're competent, but they're not having fun, they're not going to come back. Even if we are teaching them all the skills, but they're not enjoying it, they're not going to come back. That back to the idea of the PlayStation as well. Why do they come back to the PlayStation? Because it's fun. Okay, we talk about dopamine-rich environments. Every time you have fun, every time you enjoy something, you get a dopamine kick, okay? A neurotransmitter in the brain, bang. we have to create activities that do that. That's what the PlayStation guys do so well. That's why my son, the first thing he did this morning when he woke up was, can I turn on the PlayStation? Can I check if the new season is on? Because every time he goes in there, they give him a dopamine kick. Okay. And another hack that I really like, because this happens a lot. Okay, when we are coaching, and we're not quite sure what's going on, and we're not quite sure if we're doing a good job or a bad job, or what to do next. If in doubt, always choose fun. If you're not sure what to do next, find something fun to do, and give yourself time to think about what you're going to do next. But don't jeopardize the fun. And this is perfectly normal. It happens to me all the time. When in the middle of a session, I'm like, I'm not sure what to do next, and I'm not sure if what I've done before was the right thing to do. So let's do something fun. Let's bring them all back. Let's really connect with each other, with all of them again, and let's give myself some time while they're having fun to think about what to do next. And the next one, golden rule number 5, is sometimes a bit difficult to understand. Okay, but I'm gonna try and explain. Prioritize the love for sport above learning, because this is related to what I was saying before, that fun and enjoyment have to come before learning. We only learn those things that we love. Okay, attention drives learning, so we need to make sure that, or if you want, attention drives motivation, motivation drives learning. Okay, so we need to make sure that, as he says here, learning does not get in the way of fun. Okay, it should be always the other way around. Fun should be the primary use for learning. But the moment we just focus on the learning and fun goes out the window, inevitably the learning will go out the window as well. Okay, and that takes me to the next hack. If they don't learn the way we teach, we have to teach the way they learn. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to digest that one, because to me this is a beautiful thing. Okay, we have to be like chameleons. Okay, we have to change our colors to suit what they need and how they want to learn in that particular day. One day might be games, one day might be drills, one day might be they lead, one day might be we just talk to each other. One day we have to always be adaptable. Okay, and it gets even harder because then the way they learn might be different within the group, and kids might need different things from you in the same session in the same day. So this gets complicated. This is when we talk about differentiation, and that's a hard ask, okay, for a coach. It's a difficult one. All right, so we've done 5, and we're going to have a quick break because we're going to play another game. All right. So this is a game, black or red. Okay. I've got a bunch of poker cards. Okay. And what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to turn over one card at a time. So before I turn it over, you all have to make a decision if you're red or black. Okay. If the card that I turn over is the same as the color you chose, you're still in the game. If it's not, then you're out. Okay, and we're gonna see. So if you're still, when I turn the card, if you're still in, okay, you go in the chat and you go in. You're still in. Okay, and every time we do that until we have a winner. Okay, until we only have one person standing. I hope that's clear to everybody. But okay, so pick red or black for the first round. Red or black, and here we go. It's a black card. Okay. So if you chose black, on the chat, say that you're still in. Okay, very good. Great, well done. Well, that should have been a 50-50 kind of thing. All right, now we're going again. Red or black. You can change. If you were black before, you could be red now if you want, okay? All right, so pick red or black, and here we go. It's red. Okay, so if you're still in, type it in, okay? If you're out, then find someone to support and rally for them, okay? All right, next one, red or black. Next card, red or black. Oop. Okay, it's black. Okay, so I only need the ones that are in now, so I see how many people are left in. So if you're out, you don't have to say anything. I only need to know who's in. Okay, who's still in? Are you all out? Anyone still in? Okay. Darren is in. And Claire is in. Chris, okay, so we're going one more round. I think we've got 3 or 4 people left in. So red or black. Okay, pick red or black, and it's red again. Okay, or whatever it was. It's red. So who's still in? Anybody still in? Red. I think everybody's out. Okay, the bank wins then. Okay, we're going to move on. All right. Yeah, I killed everybody. Everybody's out. Okay. So we're going to move on. Number 6, focus on foundational skills. And again, this is one that normally coaches find difficult to understand. But the idea is that we, rather than focusing too much on the specifics of the sport, particularly at the younger age, you know, on the 11 and under, okay, really focus on broader skills that can develop the whole child. What we call fundamental movement skills, really, the locomotion, the object control, the stability. And of course, you can disguise them as skills of the sport, of the actual sport that you are involved in. So no one complains that you're not doing football or not doing cricket or whatever it is, okay? But really have a focus on the foundational skills, because without those, then the sport-specific skills are not going to be as good, okay? And we know that. They need to, I'm still trying to fix, I'm coaching 14-year-olds now, and a lot of them I'm still trying to fix the jumping or the landing. And in my sport, in basketball, if you can't land properly, that's an injury waiting to happen. So we're still trying to do that because this didn't happen. So some hacks there. Okay, that's a long one, okay? I'll let you read it. But basically, all that, let's start with the building blocks of good movement, okay? Before we teach them calculus. Okay, let's start with adding, subtracting, and basic numbers, okay? And another one, that's important to understand in this space of teaching basic skills, because we want to teach specific skills very early because we think that that's the only way to develop into an elite athlete. Well, 2 things, that's not true, okay? But also, if we think about developing elite athletes, only 1%, even a lot less than 1%, will become elite athletes at any point, will be on the performance pathway. And all the others, we have a responsibility to give them the skills, the broad skills, to turn them into active and healthy adults. Okay? So that's important that we understand this. Number 7, okay, this is one where there's always a lot of questions, really, but engage parents positively. Okay? What does that mean? That we have to stop looking at parents as if they were the enemy, okay? But our biggest resource. Parents are really, really important, okay? Parents can do so many things for us. For a starters, they know their kid better than you do. So it's good to talk to them because they will give you lots of information that will be really helpful in understanding how to work with that kid. But back to the idea of differentiation. But they're never the enemy. They have every right to want to be part of the environment, to question what you do, because you are coaching. I always say you're coaching their most valuable possession. You're coaching their MVP. Every child there is an MVP to their family. So we need to be accountable for that. Okay, and we need to know that when we decide to coach children, in a way we are deciding to coach their parents as well, or to work in partnership with their parents. Another coaching hack that I think is very important because it's going to save you a lot of trouble is this. An informed parent is a happy parent. Be proactive. Don't wait for parents to come to you. Okay, find ways to talk to parents constantly. So really they know what's going on and they know what to expect, and also they have a chance to ask questions. It will really improve communication and the way we work with parents. Number 8, plan progressive programs. Okay, so it's a bit similar to number 6 in the sense of think about it long term. Okay, what do they need now to then be successful later on in life? Okay, because, and again, the best way to really convince people with this is, I love this hack really. Turning the oven temperature up will not bake the cake faster. It will burn it. Okay, and that's exactly what we do with kids. if we turn the temperature up really early and really quickly, they burn. They don't bake, they burn. Okay, and that's a great way to explain this to both coaches and parents. Because sometimes parents, they want you to turn the temperature up as well, and we need to be mindful of that. Another one that I like is this: the idea of child growth and development is like a steam engine. You can't stop it, but you can definitely derail it. Okay, so again, if we don't give children what they need at the right times, you need to, you can do a lot of harm, really. And I mean both emotionally and physically. So we need to be mindful. And that takes me to the next picture. It's not a hack, but it's a picture that I use a lot to help people understand. And I use this with players as well, okay, with players and parents and coaches. And I borrowed this picture from my good friend Chris van der Hagen, that uses it a lot of the time from the Belgian Football Association. So he shows this picture. And he says, the question is, which banana would you think is best out of those 7 bananas? Which is the best one out of the 7? Well, the truth is that all 7 could be the best banana in there, but they're at different stages of maturity. Okay, and we need to be mindful, really. That's when, in terms of using progressive programs, where we need to give each banana what they need, okay, and give each banana the time to ripe, okay. So just be mindful of that. I think this is a very powerful picture that shows, like I say, players, coaches, and parents a lot, really. Because, for example, something that happens a lot with teenage athletes, really, is that some of them will be here, okay, because they are early maturers and will be getting close to this, okay. And at this point, 2 things can happen. Well, what can happen is that they think they've made it because they're much stronger than anybody else, so they just get by on strength. And we need to actually make them understand that in a nice way, because this can be also helpful, okay, that actually what they are is more mature physically than the other kids, and that they need to work on their skills, because otherwise this banana here 2 years later will be much better than them, okay. And that's a conversation that I'm currently having now with my eldest son. He's 14, following the family tradition, because I was and so was my wife, early mature, so 14 and already kind of sporting a little bit of a moustache, okay, and nearly as tall as me now, and I'm explaining to him, okay, Luca, great job, don't think that you've made it now because you're stronger than the kids you're playing against. You need to work on your skills. And it's a difficult conversation, because every child hopes that they're going to be, particularly in basketball, that they're going to be 6'7", which is not going to be the case for my son, because I'm only 6 foot. But it's understanding, really, that you need to work on your skills. But also you can show this picture to a parent when they don't see their child making a lot of progress because they're here, and you just have to ask them to be patient a little bit and say, well, let him mature. Don't put any undue pressure on them at the moment. Let's give them the space and time to mature. Okay. And we move on to number 9. Okay, use different methods to enhance learning. And what is this about? Okay, we can teach children in different ways, and no single way of teaching is better than any others. Okay, they all have different purposes. So, for example, I know there's a big debate now around, do we use drills or do we use games? Okay, and the truth is that sometimes you need drills and sometimes you need games. And a particular child will need a drill and another one will need a game. And at different stages of development, and depending on what you want to get from that activity, you can use different things. So that's where the hack comes in. Okay, drills, games, small-sided games, conditioned games, they all have a place and purpose. Mix and match. Okay, but it starts with your intent. What do you want them to get from it? So, for example, if you want them to understand a tactical element of the game, they're going to have to really get stuck into some kind of small-sided game or conditioned game, okay, or some kind of a playground game that has those elements of space, of timing. But if you just want them to improve a technique, they might have to actually break it down into a simple drill, okay, with no opposition, and that's fine. The problem comes when we only do one or the other all the time, and then they are missing out on other elements of learning, okay? And you will have your own preferences, okay? So I prefer to do as many things that are game-based as possible. But at the same time, I know when to stop that to do drills, actually what the games allow me to see is what kind of skills they need individually, because some kids have mastered some skills, and that allows me to differentiate and put different drills together for different people to help them catch up with the skills they need to solve that tactical element. Okay. Another hack that I really like, that sometimes in this sense, when we talk about teaching, the best thing we can do is do nothing and let them work it out, and just take a step back and observe how they're trying to resolve a situation. And this could be a technical situation or a tactical situation. Okay. Or if you're working with younger kids, a skill learning situation or a game learning situation. But again, sometimes take a step back and let them, and just observe, see what they do. Okay. And going back to the parents, if you're going to do this, you have to talk to the parents beforehand, because if the kids are struggling and it looks chaotic and you haven't warned the parents that that's how you're going to coach, they're going to look at you and go, you are not coaching. Okay. And they're going to demand that you say something or do something, or they will jump in and say something themselves. That happens a lot. Okay. When I'm taking a step back and then someone says something and I'm going like, no, remember, we're trying to let them develop their own ability to do things. Okay. And their own leadership or their own thinking skills. So you have to talk to them in advance. And then finally, the last one is rule number 10, use competition in a developmental way. And I'm going to go straight to the hack. Okay. Competition is neither good nor bad by itself. It just depends on how we organize it, how we present it to the kids, and how we manage it. Okay. And that's it. I'm not an advocate of no competition whatsoever with younger kids. No, competition is good. Competition can be fun. Competition can be educational. Competition will test your skills and then help you understand what you need to work on, but it has to be organized, presented, and managed in the right way. So it becomes a developmental tool as opposed to an outright competition for the sake of winning tool. Okay. And I like this hack as well, the next one. Many children like to compete, but very few like to be compared. Okay. The only ones that like to be compared is the ones that are on top, that are going to come out of that comparison on top. Okay. And that's only a very few all the time. Okay. So really trying to stay away from comparing and just competing and healthy competition. We call it true competition, where the main goal of competition is to do your best, to strive, to do your best, to actually see the opposition as a partner, because they're helping you do your best, in competing against you. Okay. So those are the 10 golden rules. And I know I've spoken to you for a long, long time. I'm just going to say one thing before giving you another activity. Okay. So when you look at all these things and you look at the coaches that you work with, okay, or the coaches that you are yourselves, or the coaches that are in your clubs, this looks like a long list. Okay. And probably you might be thinking this way, or your coaches, when you present them with this list, will be thinking this way. They'll be thinking, oh my God, we have to spin so many plates. Okay. And that is true to an extent. Okay. Yes, we would like to do all of this, and we would like to do all of this all the time, but we don't have to do it all the time. And we just have to have this as a roadmap, if you want. So question for you, again, on the chat, of these 10 golden rules, okay, which of the 10 do you think is the hardest for your coaches? Okay. Or for yourself as a coach, if you're a coach as well. Okay. So on the chat, which one of the 10 golden rules is the hardest for you or your coaches? And I'm going to go back to so you can see them. Okay. So go on the chat and select some of the, pick some of those. Which one do you think are the hardest for coaches to deal with or to do? Competition parents. Different methods. Yeah. Being child-centered, remove being holistic. Yeah. Using different methods. Great stuff. So lots of competition, lots of, yeah. Okay, perfect. So again, what am I going to say there really? For me is, I mean, and I'm talking to you because you work with coaches and you are in charge of developing coaches, I guess, is to really see what you think, which one of these, which one or two of these would make the biggest difference for the coaches that you work with. Okay, and really start targeting those. Okay, now you've mentioned the ones that were mentioned the most, parents. Okay, so again, clear to me that we could do something around that area. We talked about, you've mentioned a lot around competition. Okay, so again, a better understanding of competition would be useful. And there was also a lot around using different methods of different pedagogical strategies, different teaching methods to enhance learning. So again, increases coaches' understanding of what children get from a drill. How a drill can be, like we call block practice, 3 minutes of the same thing all the time, or actually variable practice, where it is still a drill, but you change here, you shoot from there, and then you take a step here and you shoot again from here. So you're varying the distance, or you're varying the type of shot. So it's still a drill, but with variability, or whether you're actually doing something that is completely random, like a game. In a game, everything is random because you don't know what's going to happen next, because it's just as it happens. Okay, so understanding that is really, really important. So again, like I say, don't try to go out there and fix all 10 points at the same time, because that's a really hard ask. Even, I still look at the 10 points of the pledge and I compare myself to those 10 points, and I will have priorities. Okay, so a couple of years ago, my priority was parents. We need to do better with the parents. Okay, and I think we're doing much better now. Okay, but then the last 18 months, I was really struggling to find the right balance between different methods to enhance learning. I went too far into the games and forgot about the drills. Okay, and I had to come back a little bit there, because I was developing players that were able to play games, but they were lacking some of the basic skills sometimes, and we had to rebuild some of those. So again, just as a bit of a self-assessment tool, if you want. Okay, so back to iCoachKids. So what's iCoachKids done to facilitate, to help people like yourselves or the coaches to actually get better at these things? Okay. So we've got a number of things. We've got a website, okay, where you can, as you can see there, you've got lots of resources. There's over 200 pieces of information there in that website, by themes. Okay, so you can access them by different themes: motivation, strength and conditioning, long-term athlete development, different things there. Okay, but also we have developed e-learning, and we have three free. Remember, everything we do with iCoachKids is free. Okay. I think there's a slide about that later on, but it is free. So we've got 3 e-learning courses that you can just go on our website, click on the e-learning tab, okay, and it'll take you to the e-learning platform. You can register, and there's 3 courses completely free, with about 110 different videos really that you have to watch to complete the courses, and some tasks to do if you want to do them, and that's a really good way of doing it. If you don't like doing a course, or your coaches don't like doing a course, we've got all the videos and other videos on our YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel has currently over 120 videos, including the instructional videos from the MOOCs, from the online, from the e-learning, but also interviews, webinars. There is a lot of good information in there. Okay, and like I was saying before, it's not going to cost you anything, because it is not for profit and free for all. Okay, so I would really encourage you to have a look at what we have on the website and the YouTube channel and the courses, and use it for your benefit, really. Again, you don't have to use it all. Back to the idea of this self-assessment. See what videos might be more useful. Maybe you want to feed a video to your coaches every now and again and discuss it. Okay, watch this 5-minute video and then have a chat, or something along those lines. And we know there are coach developers that are using the videos in that way, where they will show the video in a classroom, in a workshop, and then discuss it, okay, and then get people to really understand what that video means for them in their environment. So that's the YouTube channel. Just an example, really, of what the YouTube channel looks like. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well, okay, but we're going to try it. Just quickly, could you hear the sound there? someone give me some feedback? Could you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. Okay, so I'll play that again.
Hey coach, welcome back. The previous video looked at the different energy systems and when and how we can develop them. This video will look at the implications of how children grow and develop and what we can do to promote strength development. Yes, you heard me right. We will explore the topic of strength development in children and debunk a few myths along the way. While the potential physical and psychosocial advantages of youth sports participation are well known, there are still some misconceptions about the importance of strength development in children. Research has shown a decline in motor skill performance and physical.
So you get an idea of what's in the videos, okay? They're really, I think, you know, we've got lots of quality presenters there, and I think they've done a great job to really summarize really difficult topics. All right, so another quick break for you, mental break. I've put together this word search, okay, with things we have done in lockdown. So you have to find resent Boris, Netflix binge, nap on Zoom, go on webinars, put weight on, lend to need, clap for the NHS, and stay at home. First person to find them all, put it on the chat. When you found them all, just say stop on the chat. Okay, go. Some of them are difficult to find. And of course, you may have not done all of those, okay? I'm just going of my own personal experience. "30 seconds, and I will start revealing the answers. Let's see how many you got. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ooh, Jamie's one away. Done. Nick is the first one to do it. Nick has done all of them. Nick Casey, well done, Nick. Okay, let's reveal where they are. So the first one, resent Boris. Ooh, let me come here. That's what it was. It was backwards and diagonal. Okay, difficult one to find. The next one, Netflix binge, was there. Nap on Zoom. I hope you're not doing that today. Okay. Then go on webinars. You're all doing that today. Put weight on. Okay. Learn to need at the top there, backwards. Clap for the NHS right at the bottom, and stay at home right there. Okay. Well done, everyone, and well done to Nick. Okay, we're gonna move on. So, okay, we're coming towards the end now. But so, what are the keys to doing child-centered coaching? I always like to use the example of Netflix, and this is the second time that I mentioned Netflix, so I'm not on a commission. But Netflix does a great job because it's a very customer-centered business model. Okay, they first allow you to access the content wherever you want it. Okay, on your phone, on your computer, on your television, on whatever you want it. Okay, so you can access it wherever you want. You can access it whenever you want. Okay, you can even now download it and take it with you. Okay. But then if you're in a family, you can set different profiles. Okay, adult, child, specific profiles for each of the adults and each of the children. So you can actually then you can select the content you want. Based on that, they will then suggest content to you that they think you may like. Okay, fantastic way to get, again, going back to the dopamine system. They're constantly feeding you what you need. Okay, so it's no wonder people are binging. Okay, and as soon as you finish one episode, they encourage you to go to the next, or to go, if you finish one series, they show you might like this one. Okay, so can coaching be child-centered like that? Can we create the equivalent of Netflix in coaching? Again, the problem with that might be, okay, how do we do that? How do we create an environment that it is like that creates those dopamine hits really for the kids? And there's a number of things that we can do really. But the first one for me, it has to be playful. We've talked about this already. Playful. Okay, and again, this is just, again, it's another way to summarize the messages within the pledge. Okay, we're trying to convince coaches about things. Just to keep it simple, playful. We have to let the kids lead. So the environment must be led by the kids. If not always, we have to give them an opportunity to have a voice and to let us know what they like and what they don't like and what they would like to change. At the same time, it's an environment that, and the next picture is a little bit over the top, okay? But it's an environment that where coaches and parents have to play a strongly encouraging role. That's why I put that picture on, okay? Because even though we want to let the children lead or encourage them to own what we do and empower them, at the end of the day, we are the adults, okay? And to give you an example, if I wasn't encouraging or supporting and at times even pushy, my 9-year-old would be quite happy to sit in front of the PlayStation for 24 hours, okay? And he loves sport, okay? But if I don't, right now, particularly during lockdown, if I don't encourage him to do something else, the PlayStation is so good at maintaining their attention, okay, that we have to find a way that I have to remove him physically, okay? And once he's away from the PlayStation, he will enjoy something else, but the first move must come from me. So don't be, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, we want to let children lead and we want to empower them, but sometimes we have to do the initial push. That little balance between pushing and pulling, don't be afraid. And as your coaches, do not be afraid sometimes to be more forceful, really. At the same time, it has to be meaningful for the kids, okay? So even when we're pushing, whatever we are pushing them towards has to mean something for them, okay? And the activity in itself might be self-rewarding because it's a great activity. You might have to dress it up and use colorful language or vivid language that really, like I say, always turn the balls into gold coins or turn the cones into pieces of gold, or just sell the activity to them, really. Use storytelling narratives, just make it fun for them. You're never going to be like the PlayStation, but make it fun. Try and create some kind of narrative, really. And finally, very importantly, make it challenging and create visible learning, okay? Make sure that the children feel that they're getting better at that, okay? If they don't get a sense of getting better, which again is what the video games do really well, because it's all staged in phases, okay? You go to the next level. Once you master this level, you go to the next level. Can we do something like that for the kids, okay? And just to show you a tool that you will all know, okay? But just so we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. But if you look at the inclusion spectrum, really, that allows you to create sessions where the level of challenge is always at the right place for everybody, okay? And that's all I'm going to say there, that you can have different activities at different levels to really encourage every child to learn and to be in what I call the learning zone, so they're not getting bored, they feel satisfied. And again, another model that the step model. So how do we, in a particular task, how do we change the space, the task, the equipment, or the people to make sure that that every child can achieve something, okay? Or actually, I use this model just to change tasks, really. When I want to emphasize when I want to condition games, I also use the step model just for that, not only for differentiation. One more activity for you, okay? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. See if you can work out. You can make a full word with these 9 letters, okay? Like in countdown, okay? I'll start the stopwatch now, 30 seconds, okay? If you've got it, okay? If you've got it, put it on the in the chat. The stopwatch is working. Okay. Oh, there you go. I gave it away too easy, right? I thought you weren't going to realize. Okay, so it was a stopwatch. Okay, I gave you the clue there. Very good. Just making sure that you were not sleeping. Perfect. Okay, so just to finalize before we open for questions, and I know we are, I'm going to try and get through this quickly, okay? Because I really want you to have a chance to ask questions, okay? But how can we support coaches? So I'm just going to give you a couple of models, really, that we can use in terms of planning what we want to do with coaches, or help coaches understand what their role is really when working with kids. The first one is the idea of, I'm reading this book at the moment that I think is really helpful in terms of understanding that we have to turn sport into an experience, okay? Basically what this guy says, and they use the example of Starbucks. So Starbucks have changed coffee from being a commodity. The commodity is the raw material, okay, the coffee bean, to the goods is actually the actual cup of coffee that you can make at home, okay. The coffee, the grinded coffee that you can consume at home, to a service where you go somewhere and they give you a cup of coffee, to an experience, and that's where a Starbucks comes in. A Starbucks doesn't do coffee. A Starbucks does an experience, and that's why we pay £5 for a coffee, where you could get the same coffee at home for 20p. Okay, because in Starbucks, from the moment they serve it, how they serve it, how the place is built, you are willing to pay the £5. Okay, can we do that in sport? Can we, within our resources? And again, I'm very mindful of the resources we have, but can we look at sport as an experience? Okay, because again, experiences could lead to transformation. Okay. And can we actually start thinking about how the way we deliver sport to children as what kind of experiences are we wanting for them? And I know it's a tough one from a resource point of view, but it's mostly about the frame of mind of the person in front of the kids. Do I consider myself a coach, or do I consider myself a performer? When I'm in front of the kids, I am giving them an experience. I'm not giving them just skills. Okay. To me, that's something that we need to try and encourage more and more coaches to realize, that their job is to give these kids an experience that brings them back. And if they come back, then we can teach them all the skills in the world. But if they don't come back, we can't. And again, another way to understand this is using this model. That really talks about, okay, so what's my role as a coach? And in terms of that, first, if you look around, the blue section around is understanding the context you're working in, okay? Then in the white bits in between is understanding who you are yourself. Okay, this is a model to help coaches reflect on their coaching. Okay, and then inside, okay, you've got what we call the 6 core functions of the coach, starting at the bottom of the pyramid, really with a vision and a strategy. And that doesn't have to be a 50-page document. It could be a 1-page document. You know, what do I want for this session, for this team, for this club? What do I think is and we can work on this with them as well. What do they want? Okay. And based on what we agree here, then we can say what kind of environment we need to set up to achieve these goals. Okay. And then we have to build the relationships within that environment. And only when we've done all of this, okay, understand what it is that we want, understand the environment we need for that to happen, understand the relationships we need to build for that to happen, only there we can worry about what drills am I going to do? Or what games am I going to play? Because if we don't do the basis of the pyramid, this doesn't count for anything. And then obviously encourage coaches to reflect and learn as they go along, and to really think about the decisions they make, to read and react. But I've always found this model quite a helpful one when we want to get coaches to reflect about their job, because this is kind of describing their job and the context of their job, and they just have to fill in the gaps. Okay, what does this look like for me? What about that? What about this? Okay. And they've always found it really useful. Another one they find really useful is this one. Okay. It's really the understanding that we need to think about 3 things when we are coaching. Who are we coaching? Okay. If we don't understand who we are coaching, then we don't know what we are coaching, because what we coach has to be based on who they are and what they need. And if we don't know these 2, then we don't know how best to give it to them. Okay, what kind of teaching, pedagogical, coaching methodologies we want to use to give the what to this who. So another good model to really reflect with coaches around, to start conversation. This is all about, we call these thinking tools, really starting conversations really about their coaching. And the final one is this one, again, from another one of my colleagues from Bob Muir. Okay, it's called, we know it as the diamond diagram, okay, but the posh name is the coaching practice planning and reflective framework. But basically all this says is, if we're looking at now analyzing what happens within a particular session, if we want coaches to reflect on what happens in a session, let's really make sure that we've got some session objectives, which again, sometimes that's where the problem starts. Coaches don't really plan for objectives. Again, not because coaches are bad people, but because we are rushing around. We get there 5 minutes before the session, or even after the time that it should be, because we've been working all day. But really encourage people to have some clear objectives. And then based on that, what kind of activities are going to deliver those objectives? Okay. What kind of behaviors are needed for me to deliver those objectives to these activities? And then constantly monitoring how the players, how the learners are engaging with those activities and with my behaviors. And if that kind of engagement is going to lead to the objectives. Because again, if you look at any particular session and you analyze it from this point of view, this is not going to be, it's not going to be a straight line. Okay. You're going to, at times in the session, you're going to be up here in terms of that was really, really high engagement. Then it goes here. So this is just like, the moment you go down, you need to know, and then you go, okay, so what do I need to change? Is it the activity that I need to change? Or is it my behavior? So I can impact on the engagement. Again, it's just another way to reflect on to help people reflect on what they did, what it is that they do. And I know that's been a lot to take in, and you've been incredibly patient. And Simon, that was a lot more than you in terms of time that you asked me to do. But that's it. Okay, so I'm open for questions or reflections or challenges or anything you want to talk about.